Sparkle Twins.
Hello friends, welcome back to the Sparkle Twins. It's me, Mariam, and today our topic is about the immune system. Let's get started. Well, if you don't know, our body is always being protected by pathogens. Wait, what are pathogens? Well, pathogens are a lineup: bacteria, viruses, fungi, protists, and parasitic worms. Well, these are all pathogens. I can name a few types of pathogens too. Oocysts, cysts, viroid, and bacteriophage. Okay, so we're always protected by these bacteria. But why? Well, it's because of our immune system. The immune system protects our body from these bacteria. In order to know, we have to get started. Okay, we start off with the skin. We call it the first line of defense because it is the first line that protects our body from letting these pathogens in our body. Mucous membranes too, like the lining of your nose, keeps pathogens from getting inside. That is the first line of defense, the non-specific, because it's not selective about what it fights. Okay, but sometimes they do get in, and when they do, the immune system has all kinds of ways to deal with them. So, they broke through the first line of defense, which was the skin. Now we're moving to the second line of defense, which includes the inflammatory response. Okay, let's pretend we got shot by an arrow, and there was some bacteria on that arrow. The damage from this arrow into your body causes cells, such as a mast cell, to react. The mast cell releases something called histamine. If the mast cell is triggered to release histamine, the result is that it will cause blood vessels to dilate or widen. Histamine also contributes to making these blood vessels leakier. The dilation and leakiness of these blood vessels further attract macrophages. And macrophages, what are macrophages? Well, they consume and digest all types of pathogens. Macrophages consume the pathogens, and yeah. Additionally, our body has a complement system. The complement system is not what it sounds like. The complement system basically helps or complements the action of the immune system. It can work in a specific response or a non-specific response. The complement system, not the entire second line of defense. These complement factors further attract the macrophages to the area to consume more pathogens. Okay, so all the pathogens are consumed and the damaged area can turn back to normal. Now the pathogens are all defeated. That also was a non-specific response. Who knows what was on that arrow? Well, now we're moving to the third line of defense, the specific line of defense. Okay, so for example, we had a virus spreading around our body. Well, we need the immune system to target that specific virus. We're moving on to something called adaptive immunity. Adaptive immunity is a specific response to an antigen. An antigen is something that the human body recognizes that's part of the pathogen. Okay, so to help you guys to understand, basically, you see a pathogen or a bacteria is going to infect a healthy cell. The bacteria has antigens, as antigens are part of the bacteria. When it goes inside the cell that's going to be infected, an antigen will appear on the cell's cell membrane. What's a cell membrane? Well, a cell membrane is the surface of a cell. Okay, so now we'll focus on two adaptive responses: cell-mediated and humoral. Cell-mediated. This involves the cytotoxic T cell. This is part of the third line of defense. And it's a white blood cell that destroys infected cells, making them do apoptosis, which is a type of self-destruct. It does this by releasing a chemical called perforin, which causes holes in the cell membrane, or the surface of the cell, that makes it do apoptosis. Okay, so it could destroy the bacteria. By destroying the cell, it could also destroy the bacteria that was in the cell, or that means that the bacteria can at least not duplicate itself inside that cell. Okay, but we need a way to activate the cytotoxic T cell. That is, you see, the cell, remember the antigen that I talked about earlier? Yeah, once the bacteria goes inside the infected cell, the antigen will appear on it, which is kind of like a flag that says, I'm infected, which activates cytotoxic T cells to that area to destroy the pathogens and make them do apoptosis. Okay, that was the cell-mediated response. Now, what happens in the humoral response? Well, the humoral response involves this helper T cell. The helper T cell helps activate other blood cells. Well, first, remember the macrophages? The macrophages consume the pathogen, so they get an antigen. And the helper T cell goes to help the macrophage. First, the macrophage will start releasing chemical signals, then the helper T cell will start releasing chemical signals, then something called a B cell will help. The B cell helps by making something called an antibody. Before I define antibody, let's just check 3 words that sound really similar. Antigen is something that the human body recognizes, and an antibiotic is something that fights bacteria. But an antibody is something totally different. An antibody is a protein, and antibodies are very specific. They appear in a Y shape. Antibodies have an antigen binding area where they can bind a specific antigen. Antibodies can be found in blood, mucus, saliva, and breast milk. Okay, antibodies, there are different classes of antibodies, like IgE fights against parasitic worms. Yeah, parasitic worms are a pathogen. Okay, and it's also responsible for many types of allergies. Well, that's the end of today's video. Just stay tuned for part 2.